and that was Elon Musk apologizing after mocking, apparently, a disabled employee on Twitter. He also said something, I think it was this morning or yesterday, about how tweeting is not the best way to communicate. It's better to have face-to-face conversations, which is just quite the own. But let's talk about that story and much more with our friend and former KGO tech guy, Clark Reid. Hey, Clark. So good to see you.
Hey, Nikki. Hi, Kim. How are you doing?
We're doing good. All right, so let's start off with the Elon Musk apology. Sure. It's kind of rare to hear him actually say he was wrong.
Rare, maybe the only time, I mean, that I can recall. But, this guy, as Kim said in the news, sold his company to Twitter before Elon bought it. And for a substantial amount of money. Musk made fun of that, too. So, well, he's already got a lot of money and he's just coming after more. Well, it turns out if they fire this guy, in his contract, he gets $100 million more. He's already going to get a big payout. But I suspect that the attorneys got on the horn to Elon, said, dude, you apologize on Twitter now because the lawsuit's going to be just prodigious.
Yeah, exactly.
This guy's going to get a ton. And this guy was made Person of the Year in Iceland last year. He's a big deal.
Yeah.
And he is in a chair. I mean, he does have MD. I mean, he is disabled, for heaven's sakes.
One of the reasons I read that he was Iceland's Person of the Year was because of the way he chose to be paid by Twitter for his company. So instead of taking money in one way, he chose to take the paycheck, which then means that he has to pay taxes to the general welfare of the people of Iceland. So that was the story.
That's cool. Yeah. So, an all around good dude. And Elon just, was Elon, like he always is. And he got caught on this one. This is a bad deal for them. So we'll see. But Elon is now claiming that it's just close to turning around and Twitter is going to be in the black before too long. This after losing half of their advertising revenue. And, it's like, that's not going to happen.
No, Twitter is not what it used to be. Can I just ask you a quick question on the other company, which of course, Tesla, they're saying now this crazy crash that happened. The car was on the self-driving mode. Do you think, every time I hear these stories, I mean, obviously it's important that the car was on that autopilot mode. Do you think that it's a fair criticism to always mention when Teslas are in these crashes versus it's not often that you hear, there's a car crash with a Honda or a Toyota. But when it's Tesla and using that technology, it could hurt the company and their stock price.
Yeah, it does. But I think that a lot of people, it's called autopilot. He's promised every year for the last 6 or 7 years that it would be actual autopilot, and it still isn't. And, I know of an instance where there was an engineer apparently a couple of years ago or so that was testing a beta of it. And he was driving home, fell asleep, and he woke up in the driveway at his girlfriend's house. The car drove him all the way home through the East Bay Hills.
See, that's crazy to me. Like, you should be awake. And
so,
I would fall asleep. If it's auto mode, and I remember that long drive back and forth from San Francisco and San Jose, Clark, there were times I was like keeping my eyes open.
I hear that. But they've got a bigger problem than that right now. They have the government coming after them. There are 2 Model Ys that the steering wheels come off while they were driving. Well, they're driving. I thought that only happened in like comedy movies, but this actually happened to a couple of people. So there's a new investigation now for it.
Is that because do you think there's some sort of, with the manufacturing and the assembly line, like what's going on with Tesla and all these problems?
I think that, Elon is a libertarian. You only get 2 weeks of vacation a year, no matter how long you work there. They don't really they didn't give any paid time off until the government made them. And I think that, they fought the union, and I think a lot of the employees are not the happiest in the world in those plans.
So they're not like screwing in screw Elon, and we're not screwing in the steering wheel either. So there you go.
I think their quality control isn't maybe as good as it ought to be. That's what
and they're slashing prices of some of the cars.
They cut the top Model S by about $15,000 more. And they cut the top Model X also. It's now to like $99,990 now. So, and the top Model S is 112 instead of 122. So I mean, there's still a ton of money. And the problem is the Model S, which is what you call in the car business, their halo model, since they have a sports car. It's their top of the line. That hasn't been redesigned since like 2013. Well, the German car makers will go like 6 years, and that's a long time, maybe 7, but going that long without a good refresh is really unusual in the car business. And I think people are going, yeah, we've seen it.
Yeah, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
What I don't understand about the cutting of prices at Tesla is that it seems like if you want to buy a Tesla, I had a family member who did that recently, wanted to buy a Tesla and had to sign on a waiting list and had to wait 9 months for the Tesla.
Yeah.
And so if they're in such demand that you have to wait for one, why cut prices?
I am not sure why he cut the prices on the S and the X, to be honest, because that still doesn't qualify him for the $7,500 from the federal government, the discount, which, by the way, if you're thinking about buying one of those cars and you're going to buy, one of the cheaper ones, a Model Y or a Model 3, you've got till the end of this month to get that $7,500, and then that goes away because Teslas don't have 100% made in America batteries yet. Nobody does, and so that's a contingency in the bill that passed last summer. So buy the sucker if you can get your hands on it. Buy it now and take delivery before the end of the month so that you can get that $7,500. Little PSA there, public service announcement for you car buyers.
There you go.
Clark Reid with the PSAs. Let's also talk a little bit about Twitch. For people that don't know, Twitch, explain what Twitch is for people. Well,
I mean, Twitch is it's a platform, but it started out as a platform but for chat amongst gamers.
Yeah.
99%, but it's expanded. I mean, they've got cooking channels. They have all kinds of stuff now. And it was bought by Amazon a few years ago. It's owned by Amazon. But they've pretty much been hands off with Twitch. And I know I don't use it. I have a son who's a gamer and who's in IT, and he and his friends all use Twitch all the time and chat on that, among other, they're not on the normal social media that a lot of us are. But Twitch has been kind of free and easy and hasn't really been too locked down like a lot of other. I mean, I just got out of Facebook jail again after 90 days for.
Oh, look at you, Clark Reid. What are you posting on there? Jeez.
I will tell you, since this isn't going on Facebook and I won't get slammed again, I was on an engineer page in Facebook.
Okay.
We were talking about bad weather, which we're expecting again here, and how, you have to take care of the equipment. And I posted and said, well, I said, I can remember having to go bombing out to the transmitter site at, high speed to get the station back on the air. And the algorithm came, I said, you made a terroristic threat. You mentioned an explosive. And there's no appeal. There's no human. There's no nothing. And so, and I'm going, if anyone used English as a first language had seen that, they would know what I was talking about. I was talking about turning the station back on the air as a public service, but no. So thanks, Zuck, you bozo.
Don't get Clark Reid angry. Oh my goodness.
I tell you, man.
Well, Twitch is doing something that I'm really happy about, and
it's about time.
It has to do with deepfakes. Explain what they're doing.
Okay, well, what a deepfake is, and they've been doing this for several years, is they take, almost always a woman's face, and they use the technology to put it onto a video, normally a video, not a picture, a video of another naked woman's body. And they paste, and I've seen a couple of them. They're terrible, but they're doing this, and this kid, who's a big Twitch streamer, apparently did it accidentally. He left a browser tab open, and you could see it, and you could see 3 or 4 big Twitch female streamers, with their faces pasted on these naked lady bodies. And they were, needless to say, extremely upset.
I would say so.
This happened on January 30th, and finally Twitch is getting around to putting in, but they've gone all the way. I give them credit. They're doing what they're calling an insta-ban. There's not going to be a warning. If you do it once, accident or not, they are going to kick you off of the platform, which they damn well should.
Exactly. You know what? I mean, deep fakes kind of freak me out because just like the filters on pictures and TikTok and all those, they're getting better and better and better.
Yes, they are.
And I don't know how we're going to tell.
And you have a teenage daughter, and I've got teen granddaughters, one's 17 and one's 14, and this crap scares the hell out of me because they're in that age group to where, anyway, you can't protect them from everything, but
Mm-hmm.
man, that really bothers me. That
Absolutely. I would be so upset. But I'm glad that they're doing it. Hopefully other sites follow suit. So
I hope so. I mean, others have rules, but they haven't gone to an insta-ban, and I really give them kudos for doing that. It's like, kick them off. I don't care what the deal is. That should never, ever, get out there.
That you're even doing it in the first place shows,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just picked up my phone. My favorite color is purple. Okay. But I'm just gonna say this. I kind of like the new color of the iPhone.
Yeah, the yellow, and it's
I know, right?
Pre-orderable, and it will be actually out in the wild. You actually be able to buy it by next Monday too, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so that's happening.
Is this just a new color? Is it, or is there anything new happening with this?
Not a damn thing. It's just the color. They do this. I mean, they did it with the purple. They do this every spring, really just to hypo sales a little bit, because it's 6 months till the new phones come out, and the sales will kind of taper off and everything, and they want to give it a little kick in the pants until the new phones come out September. So they come out with a cool new color in the springtime.
Perfect thing for your Easter basket. Just plop it right in there.
And it is cool. I mean, it's nice that when mine, I'm going to replace it this fall, but mine's like 3 years old and it's in a case, but it's the blue color that had come out, and
I like the purple. And it's all sparkly case.
I got the silver.
Yeah. I mean, you just, and so I'll have to decide what color I'm going to go with, in the fall. But the yellow, I mean, it really pops. It's a pretty color.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's good. I mean, you say in 6 months we're going to have new iPhones.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to me. I only buy a new phone if there's something seriously wrong with this phone.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I'm not one of those going with every new tech thing.
Well, I waited. This will be 3 years, and I did it on purpose. They're supposed to come out with what's called a periscope lens. It's a lens that folds inside the case of the phone and gives you a longer telephoto. And I'm hoping it's going to be like 10 power, because I've had attachments and stuff to get telephoto, but I like to shoot my grandgirls when they're doing their gymnastics. And of course, you're up in the stands further away.
Right.
And if I had the zoom built right in the phone, I could, shoot their floor routine or their bars or, the beam when they're doing that and get a really good video of it. And that's kind of a big sales point for me. So that's what I'm looking for.
Oh, there you go. All right. Yeah. We were talking to start the show off about, consolidation and companies merging. There's kind of a new partnership going on between Microsoft and Mac. Which seems odd to me, but what's going on?
No, Microsoft first made Windows available on the Mac years ago, and had quite a partnership back in the day. I mean, really, well, Jobs and Bill Gates were still rivals, but they had dinner together. I mean, they were kind of friendly rivals, and so for a long time, the products were available on Macs since the early '90s. And now they have jumped in, and they're kind of getting back into the business again. They're offering basically a free full Outlook app on the Mac. You've had this on iOS, but now you're going to be able to get it on the Mac and be able to use what Mac calls handoff, where you can maybe I read your email, Nikki, and I'm going to start typing, and I don't want to do it on the phone. It'll transfer it to the Mac, and I can finish typing it there and then send it off and use Outlook. Well, I use a consolidated Apple mailbox, but of course, Apple doesn't allow Outlook in their mailbox, or your company Outlook or whatever. You can't pour that in. And this will allow that. And that's going to be pretty cool. That means one mailbox for everything. All your mail can show up that you want to. I mean, you may have a junk mail account, which a lot of us do. That I give out to people, if I don't want them to, and it goes in there.
For all those subscriptions you're subscribing.
Yeah, exactly. It goes in the black hole mailbox, and I don't
spam at clark.com, right?
That's it, man. Well, I'm not quite that gross, but yeah.
Exactly. There's another partnership between Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, and it has to do with our minds. Explain that. This
is really cool. I mean, a lot of us have heard about Neuralink, which Elon Musk started and has the implants, but they killed a bunch of animals trying to do this, and the government's investigating them, but they have to implant and drill into your skull and all that. Well, this system that is backed by Bill Gates and by Jeff Bezos, it's called Syncron, and they just run basically a wire up your starting in your leg and run it clear up into your brain, just like if they're putting in a stent in your heart or what have you. And so that technology is very well developed. It's not, doesn't screw up your body. And this thing doesn't even go into the brain itself, which apparently our brains are pretty touchy about having devices actually implanted into them. This one picks up with a little transducer receiver, picks up your brain waves, and it transmits it down to a box in your chest they implant that has a little more power in it. And then you can control like a mouse or a trackpad on a laptop or your home automation, what have you. And so far, they've implanted it into 3 people with no problems. And they're hoping that they'll be able to continue this and help people that have limited or no mobility. Well, like the guy that Elon Musk was making fun of. This would be a great help for him because he could just use his brain and move the cursor around on the screen and type and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was trying to show the picture of the stent thing, but it's not popping up.
It looked a little weird, but yeah, I saw that. But that's what this is. Synchron. It's the device is called the Synchron Switch.
Interesting.
Oh, there it is. There's the stent. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I mean, if you guys can see that, I wanted there to be a white background, but apparently it's just clear on there.
That's it's a completely mature technology. It's a little spooky though. I had this done before a surgery a few years ago, and they don't knock you out. And they're running this thing up my leg and up into me. And the doctor has this young resident woman doctor, and then he had an intern junior woodchuck boy doctor standing there. And he's talking in his doctor voice, the very soft,
And you're like, oh my God.
And I'm like laying there, and he said, now, doctor, he said, you want to turn it like this and that, and he's teaching these 2 younger doctors how to do this technique. But I'm just laying there and, and they're playing music and I'm wide awake.
That's how angiograms work, right?
It was an angiogram. They're running this devil right up into your heart and looking around. He goes, well, Clark, he said, actually, there's no blockages. This happens sometimes. It was a false alarm. And still in this soft doctor voice and everything, which it cracks me up. It's like, oh, come on, just speak English.
We're not on the smooth jazz station.
Exactly.
I mean, it did tickle me, but that's what they do. And so and which I was glad they did the procedure and that I was fine. That's cool. Yeah. But that's how this new gadget, the Syncron, works. Just goes up through your arteries, which is neat. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Last story, Clark. Meta, more layoffs are coming. What is going on? And I guess we can't look into a crystal ball, of course, but what is changing? Like, where are these layoffs going to be? And what is that going to mean for Meta as a company, Facebook, things like that?
I think what they're doing, at least this is what they say they're doing, is that they're going to leave it up to the middle managers and the supervisors to pick out the people to lay off. Hopefully it won't be like 11,000 like it was last fall, but they did come out in a statement and say, we kind of overdid it and probably hired too many people during the pandemic when everyone was at home and they were working from home, but they were on Facebook a lot and they're on Instagram a lot. And so they really staffed up. Well, since that went away, the usage has gone down. People aren't visiting their social media platforms as much. And so the advertisers have noticed this and they've cut back the advertising.
Makes sense.
So, Zuck's allowance has gone down and he wants to get that back. So he's cutting some staff.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talk about, that they overhired when at the same time we're seeing headlines all the time of so many places with so many job openings. And so I guess it's just finding that kind of niche that is really hiring right now.
It's kind of the sweet spot. I mean, I have a family member that's in IT that had been talking to them and they kind of wanted to, do something. And then they kind of backed off after the pandemic eased up and all that kind of jazz. But as of in a lot of tech businesses, this particular person would have liked to have gone to work for them, but he had a really, really nice pair of golden handcuffs from his present company, and his stock hadn't matured yet. And it's like, I'm going to wait around a little bit. I kind of want to cash out that big payday.
Yeah, you definitely want to make it worth it, and especially when they're dangling those golden handcuffs, as you call it.
That's right.